Hey everybody, this is Dion here, Inside Sales by Design in Sales Class. We are thrilled to have Jeff Goldstein with us. He has an amazing background. He's an engineer by training, however, has spent his entire career grinding out the sales number every week, month, and quarter. So we're super excited that he's here with us. We're going to talk, and he's going to share with us some key components of winning the six-figure sales deal, talking about inspecting and assessing the pipeline and assess the quality of their sales campaigns, and then coaching their teams to accelerate those big deals. So Jeff, thank you so much for joining us today. We're so excited you're here and looking forward to hearing everything.
Well, that's fantastic. Thanks, Dion. So let's get started, everyone. We have a lot of ground to cover, and I want to welcome you all kind of wherever you are from, and hope you're doing as well as can be expected with all the goings on here with COVID-19. So my goal today is really to help your teams win more big deals. And in the process, I'm going to talk about some lessons I learned from the 2008 recession that are playing themselves out once again. So before I do that, let's just take a moment and make sure everybody's in the right place. So, that's a question that's often on people's mind. Am I in the right place? So if you're a first line sales leader, a second line leader, VP, GM responsible for the number, a senior sales rep, or a sales team member who wants to make a bigger contribution, you're in the right place. And so let's just take a quick minute and send me a quick text. I think everyone knows what the chat section is just to help me get a sense for the audience. And just type in the chat. I'm going to keep everybody active and engaged here. First line sales leader, second line sales leader, or other would be great. All right, we see some of them coming up. Okay, so let me take a moment just as we're getting started and talk about what this next hour is not about. So this is not about account planning, prospect and funnel building, handling objections, or marketing. These are all important topics, but not what we're going to cover in the next hour. What this hour really is an intense hour focused on winning complex sales campaigns. As you'll hear in a moment, my background is tech, but if you run a complex sales campaign, multiple steps in your campaign, multiple stakeholders, you're in the right place. Now, a few questions about your team. Do they struggle hitting the sales forecast? Have you got enough pipeline to meet or exceed the forecast? Does your team defer big deals out of the forecast at the last minute? Does your team waste time on unqualified opportunities? Do they miss important steps or stakeholders in their must-win sales campaigns? Do they have a repeatable sales process and execution plan? Are some of these starting to resonate? Does your team have a sales strategy other than low price? I see a lot of nods when I do that. Are you happy with your team's win-loss, deferred, and no decision rates? And then finally, as a sales leader, do you have a repeatable process to inspect, assess, and coach your team's big deals? So this is really what, if some of those questions were ticked in your mind, then this is really what the webinar is about. It's all about dramatically improving your big deal forecast and accuracy as well as your win rates. My goal is to help you and your team ruthlessly qualify so you don't spend time on deals they can't win. It's all about sales execution by ensuring you cover all your bases and all your stakeholders. And for the leaders out there, it's really all about helping the leaders inspect, assess, and coach their team's big deals. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about what I mean specifically about inspect, assess, and coach. You're going to get sick of hearing those three words by the time we're done. And I will, as we go through, pepper in lessons that are happening right now from the 2008 sales recession. So if you're interested in winning more big deals, you're in the right place. All right, so let me just take a minute. This is the only 3 minutes I'm going to spend on myself. And just, sorry, actually, I'll get to that in a moment. I'll just talk a bit about the agenda. So I'll do my introduction in just a moment. I'm going to talk about 6 questions you should be asking right now, including lessons from the recession. So I'm going to talk about questions about inspection cadence, about ruthless qualification and rapid assessment of deals early in the forecast process. And I'm going to talk about coaching to help you cover all your bases in your complex sales campaigns. And then at the end, I'm going to try to help you put these ideas into practice in a very practical way. All right, so that's the agenda. So let me talk about me. And again, 3 minutes, that's all we're going to talk about me. The rest is going to be about you folks. So first of all, my background, I'm an engineer by training. Up in Canada, we have a designation called a professional engineer. I'm one. I took my program at University of Waterloo. That's a big engineering school in Canada. And right down the street was a business school. And I did a minor as well as my engineering degree in business. And decided earlier on, I didn't really not want to be an engineer on the bench, and really discovered I wanted to be in sales. And so I've spent the last long time carrying a bag. I've always had income at risk, so I'm very familiar with commission plans. And I've really spent the last 25 years leading the Canadian subsidiaries of large US tech parents. I started my career with Hewlett Packard when it was still called HP. I ran the subsidiary for Data General. It was a server and storage company who got bought by EMC, who later got bought by Dell for, I think, $67 billion, the biggest acquisition in tech history. And then I spent 15 years running the Canadian subsidiary of NetApp. NetApp is a $6 billion data management storage company. And I spent the last 2.5 years before I retired for the second time running Veeam Software, which is a data backup and cloud management company. And then finally, I eat my own dog food. So what I mean by that is I've done over 3,000 forecast calls. So all of you sales leaders who do forecast calls, if you do the math, 25 years times a call a week with my team, a call a week with my boss, more calls at quarter end. That's over 3,000 forecast calls. And more importantly, I've done over 200 big rock reviews, which is really a bit of the methodology I'm going to show you here today. So I've lived a day in your shoes, and I hope you'll discover as we go through this here that I can relate what you're going through, whether you're in technology or not. If you're a sales rep or sales leader running complex sales campaigns, I think we're kindred spirits. All right. So just a couple more questions before we start. Are you tired of last minute forecast surprises or stressed when you missed your commit to your boss? Right? Two big questions, a bit of rhetorical questions. But more importantly, do you think business is going to get worse, much worse? Sorry, do you think business is going to get better, worse, or much worse in the next few months? So let's just take a quick minute and give me your sense. Better, worse, much worse, or no idea? Where do you think this is headed? I'll just wait for some quick texting here. Worse, better in Q1. Okay, so we're a bit of optimists and pessimists here. Q1 is still a bit away, but certainly, it's yet to be determined. But if we pause and just think a little bit about what's going on inside your customer right now, it might give us some clues here. So let me ask you this other question. Do you think project approvals are going to happen faster, slower, or much slower over the next few months? So just send me a quick text. Faster, slower, much slower, or it depends. What do you think is going to happen to projects? Faster, slower, or much slower? What do you think? Depends and depends. Okay, I'm with you completely. So here's a lesson I learned in 2008. If you think about your customer or your potential customer, the VP of Finance and the CIO, Chief Information Officer, are all looking for ways to cut costs out of their business. For most every business, perhaps Amazon and some work from home companies excluded, revenues are down, and so expenses have to be down. So executives are looking for OPEX, CAPEX, people, project savings. Everybody's looking for savings, and that's difficult news for all of us. But here's some good news. A little bit later in the masterclass, I'm going to show you 3 critical criteria that I believe are required for big deals to move forward these days. And I'm going to give you a new lens to look at your deals through from the customer's perspective and really determine whether there's a shot that your deal's actually going to get funded as we go through. All right, so enough questions. Let's get started. So as I say, these are the 6 questions as a sales leader you should be asking to help your team ruthlessly qualify and win more big deals. So you're going to hear me talk about inspect, assess, and coach. What I mean is what are you doing to inspect your sales funnel and identify the big deals in your funnel that move the forecast needle? I say in and out quarter. And what I mean is this quarter and next quarter. Okay. We're going to talk about what are you doing to assess the quality of your must-win sales campaigns early in the forecast process, so you don't have deals fall out at the very end that are difficult to replace. And then finally, what are you doing to help coach your team to close gaps and help them run better sales campaigns? This is what we're going to talk about. And so let's start with inspect. So here's my first question. Do you have an intentional and deliberate cadence to inspect the top 10 deals in your sales funnel? In and out quarter. So a cadence to inspect your top deals this quarter and next quarter, right? So, when I'm with a live crowd, I do this little exercise and I say to the crowd, if you have a regular cadence to inspect your forecast, stand up, right? And I'll do this a bit rhetorically. And so most everyone in the class stands up because, my boss runs a forecast call. I do a forecast call. Of course I do. So everyone stands up. And then I say, okay, if you have a regular cadence to inspect the top 10 deals in your funnel this quarter, stay standing. Okay. And the forecast is not an inspection process for big deals. Okay. So I'm not talking about the forecast. Do you have a separate cadence to inspect the top 10 deals in your quarter? And what I find is most people now sit down. And then I ask the final question. Have you got a regular cadence to inspect the top 10 deals in your funnel next quarter? And by then, 97% of the audience has sat. All right. What I found with my research, kind of informal research, is 95% of all sales leaders have no written plan or process to inspect, assess, and coach their team's big deals. They have instinct and experience, which I'll talk about, but they have no methodology to do this. So the question I ask is, why not? Big deals move the forecast needle. I think if you take a look, you'll find that 20% of your deals are probably driving 50 to 80% of the revenue in the current quarter. Now, if you're in the SMB space and run small deals, it's a volume play. I'm really talking about complex sales campaigns. A small set of deals drives a big part of your pipeline. So why don't you have a cadence? Some of the answers I get is I have no discipline to actually do it. I'm busy. I have no structured process or methodology. I prefer a reactive rep discussion. We're going to go into Starbucks before the sales call when we actually did that. And that's when I inspect the deals. I have instinct and experience. That's what got me here. And I have no time to do this. So these are a lot of the excuses I get for why people don't do this. But I tell people I can do a big rock review in less than 1 hour, no matter how complex the deal is. So if you think about the 10 top deals this quarter, 10 top deals next quarter, that's 20, 25 hours. The average sales leader spends 54 hours a week at work. So what could be more important than spending 15% of your time focused on the big deals that drive your business? What could be more important? And so here's a problem I'd ask you to take a look at and see if you can spot the big problem here. This was just some context here. At Veeam Software, my last gig, my boss called me one day and said, "Hey Jeff, the goal is to drive 50% growth this year. You're driving 35% growth and you're missing your number. What's going on in your business?" Now, most people would be pretty happy with 35% growth, but we were built for 50% growth. And so if you take a look, the question is, what do you see here? What's the big problem I have? And so, you take a look here. 20 deals represented 47% of the pipeline that quarter. And the team was telling me they're really not losing deals. So what's going on here? And so I'll just show you, sorry, just bear with me for a second here. I'm gonna move this over. So this is a little easier to see. So in that quarter where the team was saying we weren't winning deals, turns out we won 24% of the big deals. We lost 7%. We lost one deal in 20. Not bad. But here's the thing that amazed me. 44% of the deals got deferred into next quarter, and 25% of the deals died a quiet death. No decision, right? The reps didn't talk about these deals. I didn't win it. I didn't lose it. The customer just decided not to spend money on our project, on any project. And so if you include no decision, which is really a decision, into this mix, then we actually won 24%. We lost 31% of the deals, and 44% of the deals got deferred into next quarter. This was my problem. These deals are big. There's no way to replace these deals at the end of the quarter. And so if you don't have a plan to win your big deals and you aren't winning your unfair share of big deals, there's no way to hit your target. That's a big problem. So the question I ask you is, what impact would winning just one additional big deal per rep each quarter have on your sales results, forecast accuracy, and income? Right? Think about that. Just one extra big deal per rep per quarter. So I use a baseball analogy. If you're hitting 3 out of 10, if your team is winning 3 out of 10 big deals, they're hitting 300%. They kind of get into the Baseball Hall of Fame with that kind of batting average. But if you actually one extra deal and stop working on 3 deals you can't win, you win 4 out of 7 deals consistently, your batting average just doubled to 570. So imagine this. Imagine if you could stop spending time on deals you can't win. Stop spending time on low probability deals. Instead, take that time and reinvest it in the pipeline to find better quality deals. And I'm going to show you through the balance of the session a rapid assessment tool to help you ruthlessly qualify and only spend time on big deals. And then we'll talk a bit about the Big Rock Review, which is a deep dive to help you focus energy and help you cover all your bases. So, the question is, what impact would winning one big deal? It's big. And so I often find the problem is the funnel, poor quality, poorly run sales campaign, not the forecast. The funnel is a leading indicator of the forecast. The pipeline is a leading indicator of the forecast. If your pipeline is not good, you're going to have difficulty with your forecast. So it's all about ruthlessly qualifying and only spending time and resources on deals you can win. We're going to get into that. So here's the action item. At the beginning of each quarter, so how do you build a big deal cadence? It's really pretty simple. At the beginning of each quarter, identify the top 10 deals in your pipeline in and out quarter, right? Everybody's using CRM. I'll show you a spreadsheet here in a second. Schedule a rapid assessment call. So schedule time with your reps to actually have a conversation to help them qualify. And then for those deals you view as must win, do a deeper dive and schedule up a Big Rock review. And then keep score through the quarter. So here's a simple spreadsheet. And I show you all this is, it really is dead simple. It's the rep, it's the deal, schedule the rapid assessment. So these are the top, 10 deals for your quarter. Schedule up a rapid assessment. I'm going to show you how to do that. For the what must win deals, schedule up a Big Rock review, and then through the quarter, keep score. 1 loss, deferred, and no decision. That's all you do. And do it for in quarter, and you can do it for out quarter as well. You will be amazed at the end of the quarter what that spreadsheet looks like. I was shocked, and I've been doing this for a long time, what this actually looked like. So that's why I went to take a simple spreadsheet. The CRM, at Veeam and at NetApp, we were big Salesforce users, but I didn't have a simple report that says, go back to the beginning and show me of the deals that were, active at the beginning of the quarter, how many were 1 loss, deferred, or no decision. You try that, I guarantee it'll be a big surprise to you and may help you diagnose what's going on in your business. Now, question number 2 is, can you name the top 10 steps and stakeholders in a complex sales campaign? Now, again, when we're in person, I ask the sales team to do this. I ask experienced sales leaders to do this, and most of them get 5 or 6 steps in a complex sales campaign, despite their experience. Drum roll, please. So here are the 10 steps in a complex sales campaign. Usually the deals are big. You need to go get approval for the discounts and margins you want to offer. So often you have a deal desk. You need to get your deal approved early on. You need to to qualify budget and authority, you need to explore need and timing, technical need and business outcomes. You need to figure out if you have a fit. You need to build a winning sales strategy. You need to develop a competitive edge. Most people don't do that. You need to figure out how to develop some value-added partnering. Many organizations sell through resellers or partners. You got to figure out how to get value from your partners. You need to think about customer success before you get your purchase order. And then you have to figure out who you're negotiating the deal with, the IT department, the end user, procurement. And then you need to keep track of all these steps and stakeholders. There are a lot of moving parts in complex sales campaigns, right? And most people try to do this without a plan or process. What I found is most sales reps, if they're in technology, understand, the technical sales campaign. It's all about functionality and cost, right? Does my product do the job and what does it cost? But what I tell people in every complex sales campaign, there's really two campaigns going on, a technical campaign and an economic or political campaign in parallel. And you may not even be aware, but yes, functionality and cost is important for sure. But there's also long-term strategy. There's also relationship. There's vendor support and preference. There's politics and there's brand. These things are all going on in complex sales campaigns, very different than just functionality and cost. And the Harvard Business Review did a study. Now, this was back several years ago. And what they found is, as the likelihood of a purchase drops sharply as the number of decision makers increases. 5.4 was the average several years ago. Somebody was telling me the other day that average is closer to 6.8 decision makers touch a deal before companies release funds to fund projects. There's a lot of moving parts and stakeholders that you need to pay attention to. And the big deal roadmap helps ensure you never miss important steps or stakeholders in your complex sales campaigns. So there's the big deal roadmap. Now, if you want a copy of the big deal roadmap, just go to salesleadersonly.com /SalesClass, and you can download a PDF of that, print it, give it to your reps, and just help remind them what those steps are. And the analogy I use is, imagine if you're a pilot flying from San Francisco to Los Angeles. You've got gray hair, you've done that flight, for 35 years. You never see the pilot jump into the cockpit, look at his co-pilot and go, I've done this for 35 years. The weather looks good. Let's button this thing up and get going. That never happens. The pilot and the co-pilot go through a manual checklist to make sure they don't miss any steps that could crash the plane. And remember, pilots are only thinking about this one flight. Their kids aren't, poking them about bringing stuff home. Their spouse isn't asking for stuff. They're highly concentrated. And yet the pilot who's done this forever uses a checklist. And so I encourage sales teams to pull out the big deal roadmap and help make sure they aren't missing important steps or stakeholders in their complex sales campaigns. All right, so let's talk about assess. Do you have a process to assess the quality of your top 10 sales campaigns early in the forecast process? What are you doing to help qualify whether those big deals the team is bringing forward have any shot of winning before you put them in the forecast and forecast them up to your boss? And I talk about this quarter and next quarter. Because here's the thing, by definition, these are complex sales campaigns. They're going to probably take more than one quarter to complete. So what process do you have? And so I encourage people to think about this rapid assessment tool, and I'm going to show you right now to help you quickly qualify a deal. So think BANT. What is BANT? Budget, authority, need, business outcome, and timing. These are the 4 qualification questions to use to qualify a big deal. Now, I can't take credit for this methodology. I think IBM invented this ages ago, but I've tuned it up a bit for, really for today's economic situation. So let's go through them quickly. Budget. These are questions you can ask your sales reps. Has the budget been approved? Sure. Has the budget been released? Oh. What's changed in the customer's approval process? And hint, it's not nothing. So here's a lesson from the 2008 recession. when the recession hit, IT managers and directors, and I think it's true for all managers, who previously had their signing authority up here, had their signing authority quietly reduced, and often they didn't even know about it. So if you were calling on, somebody you've been doing business with for a while, and you said, "Hey, is it in the budget?" You say, "Sure." "Is the budget approved?" "Sure." If you don't ask him what's changed, then what you might find when he goes to get that purchase order released, he's going to find there's an additional signature required, maybe two, and other people want to really get access to that funds before they get released. So this is a big red flag in the budgeting process. When you ask the rep what's changed and he says nothing, I just call BS in the process. Number two is, are you speaking with the decision maker who has final authority to spend the budget? Final authority, discretionary ability to spend the budget. Have you met them in person? Now, meeting customers in person today is pretty tough. But if you can get them on a Zoom video call and get them to turn on their camera so you can look into the whites of their eyes and really talk about your deal, then that's a pretty good sign. And here's a hint. The final authority today is probably not the technical decision maker. It's probably a financial decision maker. And so what I do often when I do these reviews with sales teams, I pull out the relationship map, because the organization chart really doesn't help us understand too much. So here's an asset that I built. Here's a relationship map. It talks about, and I'll just annotate here, who are the key decision makers? Well, there's a technical decision maker and there's a technical recommender. There's an economic decision maker. There's probably a coach. You probably have a channel partner. You might have an alliance partner. And there might be a fox involved in the selection process. And who is the fox? He or she is the person without a fancy title who can change the decision criteria throughout the meeting. You go to a meeting with a bunch of people, they're probably sitting quietly. And when you start probing and trying to qualify the deal, that's the person people look to, right? He has power, but he may not have it on his title. And then what the relationship map does is it really asks three questions. Have you met the person in person or on a Zoom call today? Is the person pro, neutral, or against you? And is the person in the power base? Are they a decision maker, an influencer, indirect influencer? And what I tell people to do, and I'm going to give you this asset in a moment, this takes 5 minutes to populate with the decision makers that you're speaking with. Now, what I found is, in my world, most of the sales reps are focused on the technical decision makers. And I can tell very quickly, and when they put the relationship map up, how wide and deep they're selling into the campaign. If they're just talking to the technical decision maker or recommender, you know they're missing a lot of stakeholders that could sink their deal. The relationship map, and I do this early on in the Big Rock review, tells me a ton about the quality of the sales campaign the team is actually running. All right. What I learned in the 2008 recession is you need access to power to qualify the deal. The recommenders and even the first level decision makers don't really know whether their projects are going to get funded. And if they think they do, 6 months into COVID now, they've probably discovered there's additional people involved in the selection process. Might as well go figure out who those people are. Maybe ask a channel partner who's done a deal before you in that account. Talk to me about what the decision process looks like these days, because we know it's changed. All right, need. What needs and business outcomes will the solution address? Now, if you're involved in a complex sales campaign, by now you probably understand what the needs are. But I'm going to get to business outcomes on the next slide here. But questions like, will the solution provide a 12-month or ROI? Is it funded with CapEx or OpEx? Are they going to buy or lease? These are questions you should understand. But here are three critical questions that we learned in the 2008 recession. Is the project strategically relevant to the customer? Is it tactically urgent? And does it provide rapid time to value? If the business outcomes, your solution does not check these boxes, your project may still get approved, but it's going to take longer, or it might end up with no decision. So think about it. I use an IT example. If you were selling work from home solutions, I had a conversation with one of the largest distributors up here in Canada. He said to me, Jeff, this was end of last quarter, if I had 15,000 more laptops, I would have sold them. So anything work from home got approved, frankly, even if it wasn't in the budget. But if you were doing a 3-year SAP business process reengineering project, that project, it's relevant, but it's not tactically urgent. It does not provide rapid time to value. That project might not make its way through the approval process. So again, these are pretty critical. This is kind of another lens you can use to look at your project. Strategically relevant, tactically urgent, rapid time to value.
Hey, Jeff.
The last one is timing. What is the compelling event that will ensure the deal closes as forecasted? What happens if you miss the compelling event? And here's a hint. If nothing happens, it's not that compelling. So time-stamped pricing, I think, is not a compelling event. Customers are too smart today. They go, the price you gave me on Friday, I want on Monday, even if it's your quarter end. And if you don't give it to me, I'll just go to the next person in line for the deal. Maintenance contracts expiring, not very compelling. So not every project has a compelling event, but if it doesn't, and it doesn't, not strategically relevant, tactically urgent, or provide rapid time to value, you need to look closely at those projects to see if they're going to go ahead. So in 2008, what we found is sales cycles got longer, sometimes way longer, and no decision was a real issue. Customers who at the beginning of the budgeting process were very enthusiastic, those projects got reprioritized by the VP of Finance and the president, and they made decisions not to spend money there, even though they were important projects because they couldn't fund everything. So there you have it, something you can use right now. Budget, authority, need, and frankly, more important is business outcomes and timing. Use that with your sales team. And here's an action item you can use. If you're interested in the relationship map, download it at salesleadersonly.com/sales-class. It's an Excel spreadsheet. Again, it takes your reps, if they are in command of their deals, 5 minutes to complete. But you may not like what you see, because you may discover they're running a very narrow sales campaign focused on only a few people. And that ain't going to cut it these days. All right, let's talk about coaching. How will you coach your team to help them cover all the bases in their most strategic opportunities? Okay, again, coaching. That's a lot of moving parts, right? In the Big Rock Review, so the Big Rock Review has really two components to it. The rapid assessment, which I showed you, which is 15 questions, and then another 25 questions that I've kind of developed that walk sales teams through each step of the sales campaign. So I've got questions now for solution fit, for sales strategy, for competitive edge. And we basically, pick those deals that are well qualified. They made it through BANT. And now you go, these are must-win sales campaigns. I want to do a deeper dive. And this is what I mean. I can do a deeper dive, including the rapid assessment, in less than 1 hour. So I go, critical to actually do this. The Big Rock Review helps ensure you never miss important steps or stakeholders in your complex sales campaign. And the way I would do this is I would identify the top deals in the sales funnel at the beginning of the quarter. I'd send the reps the Big Rock Review and go, complete the rapid assessment. That's the BANT portion. And let's have a quick 15-minute conversation about whether those deals are qualified. And then for those deals that were qualified, we'd finish the rest of the Big Rock Review, the next 25 questions. And really, at the end of the Big Rock Review, the goal was that the rep had a much better sales campaign than when they started, right? And the first time I did this, the reps felt like this was going to be a colonoscopy. For those of you who've enjoyed that experience or not so much. And what I tell the reps is, my goal for the Big Rock Review is at the end of the hour, you should have a better sales campaign than when you started. So this is really the goal here for the sales rep, is to get additional eyes on their sales campaign and uncover the steps that they've missed so they can go fill them in and run better sales campaigns. Okay, that's the whole purpose of the Big Rock Review. Now, we've talked about a lot of stuff so far. A rapid assessment, a Big Rock Review, a cadence. So the fundamental question I ask sales leaders right now is, what are you going to stop doing to make time to inspect, assess, and coach your team's big deals? Because sales leaders are all busy. I totally get that. But you need to be intentional and deliberate to create a new habit if you're going to want to change what you do every quarter. So this is not going to happen magically. And most people, will really go, that was a nice webinar. I learned some stuff, and go on back with instinct and experience. So for those sales leaders who want a competitive edge, think about implementing a rapid assessment and then, learn more about the Big Rock Review. You will have a competitive advantage over the other sales leaders helping their team in their sales campaigns. Now, question number 6 is a bit different. And this question is, how aggressively should you be managing your team's sales performance? Okay. Even in COVID, how aggressively should we be managing sales performance? And so here's a lesson I learned in 2008 that the reps, on the call may not enjoy very much. I apologize. The reps at the bottom of the sales leaderboard before the recession were the same reps on the bottom of the leaderboard long after the recession was over. But it's actually your top reps you should be worried about most. Because think about your top reps. They're high performers. They're used to making money. It's pretty tough for anybody to be making money right now. Most companies aren't spending what they want. Sales cycles are taking longer. Deals are getting ruthlessly qualified out. People are reallocating money, deferring projects. So it's really your top reps, the reps you can afford to lose least. They're at the most risk. So here's some things we did at NetApp back in 2008 that can really help you with your top performers. The first thing I encourage sales leaders to do is to complete a stay interview with your top reps. Stay interview is simply schedule a call with them where you're not going to talk about business. You're just going to ask them how they're doing, how they're feeling, how their kids are doing, what's going on at home. How are you feeling about things right now? And by not focusing on business, the reps will go, I learned that people don't care what you know if they don't know that you care. And this is a way for sales leaders to show, especially their top reps, that they care. And then what we did at NetApp is I identified for the country a list of top reps, and I had my boss, the VP of North America, reach out to these reps and do the same thing. Just ring them up and go, hey, how are you doing? How are things going? I don't want to talk about your forecast. How are you doing? And I can tell you these two things had a huge impact on our top reps because they went away going, business is tough, but my bosses care. Because remember, new reps, your competition knows who your best reps are. Your new reps can go to the competition, renegotiate a salary, a new target income, probably renegotiate a 3 to 6 month raw and renegotiate their quota. In the short term, they can make more money by leaving your organization. So here are two things you can do to help make sure that doesn't happen, because these are the performers that are very hard to replace, especially right now where you may not actually have the ability to replace heads if they leave. Now, we talked about bottom performers. Here's 3 things we did with our bottom performers. We had a conversation with, one-on-one with them being very explicit about expectation for what they need to be doing right now. The reps on the bottom may not know what they should be doing at the best of times. And in COVID, they've got lots of new excuses. So you need to be very explicit about your expectation with them. You might want to put them on a performance improvement plan right now. And you need to document. Because you may not be able to take action on your bottom performers right now, given it's COVID. I totally get that. Everybody wants to be very mindful and respectful. But there are things you can do with your bottom performers right now. So when things turn up, which of course they will, you're in a position to take action and up-level your entire team. All right. So those are some real important lessons. And what happened at NetApp is we identified what it did, when the tide is in, it raises all boats. But when the tide goes out, you see all the stuff on the beach. And this recession is helping you see all the stuff on the beach as it relates to some of your reps who may not be in the best place. And the recession is not going to help them become better sales reps. Coaching, inspection, assessment may help them, but at least you want to understand who the top and bottom performers are and take action right now. So my message to everybody is be proactive about your people management right now, or you'll pay the price when the economy ticks back up, which it will do, at some time. Q1, Q2, things will recover, and you want to be in a position to come out of the gates running at high speed. All right, so there you have it. Inspect, assess, and coach helps you accelerate big deals. So let's just review. Here are the top deals. Here's the question summary that we talked about. Do you have a cadence for your top deals? Can you name the top 10 steps in a complex sales campaign? Do you have a process to inspect, assess, and coach your team's big deals? Are you ruthlessly qualifying your deals with the rapid assessment tool, budget, authority, need, and timing? What are you going to stop doing to start doing all this new stuff? And how aggressively are you going to manage your team's sales performance? Those are the questions we asked. Now, here's the summary of the lessons I learned. First one, CIOs and VPs of finance are reducing budgets. Signing authority is being reduced, often without notice. You need access to power to qualify money. Projects are getting approved only if they're strategically relevant, tactically urgent, and provide rapid time to value. Sales cycles are getting longer, sometimes way longer, and the reps at the bottom of the leaderboard don't improve through the recession. Does that all make sense? All right. So that's really the content, everything you wanted to know about big deals in 50 minutes. So let me see if I can take any questions here, and then I'll get to some next steps. Any questions? All right. Let's go ahead, Jeff. Let me just talk about kind of some next steps for you. So as I talked about, here are some things that you can do now to download the assets we talked about. There's the big deal roadmap infographic. If you go here, let me just do this here. If you go here, you'll find all these assets, the big deal roadmap, the relationship map. So this is a PDF. That's a PDF. You just print it. That's an Excel spreadsheet you can use with your team. And it actually has 3 tabs for bad, better, best. And you'll see what I mean when you take a look. And then I put together a 10-part LinkedIn video series that I posted on LinkedIn, which is really the top 10 questions. We didn't get to all the questions that you could be asking your sales team throughout all the steps of the sales cycle. So all of that is available to you, no charge. Just head over to the website and download it. And so the next step is really for those sales leaders in the audience, would this masterclass be beneficial for your team? So that's my invitation to you. If this would help your leadership team, I'm happy to come and do this free masterclass for your organization. And the question is, Jeff, why would you do that? Well, the answer is 60 to 70% of people or organizations who attend my masterclass end up engaging me for my course, Winning the Six-Figure Sale. It's a billable program. It's a half-day training that really explodes the concept we talked about in the masterclass and gives you a lot more detail and actionable content for you actually to have all the tools you need to inspect, assess, and coach your team's big deals. Next step, let's connect. I'll give you my LinkedIn address here in just a moment. My email address is simple. It's jeff@salesleadersonly.com. Just reach out and let's connect. There's my LinkedIn login, LinkedIn/in/Jeff Goldstein 2. There must be another Jeff Goldstein out here. So if we haven't already connected, please reach out. I'd love to connect. And then finally, if you'd like some notification when my book gets released, I'm busy writing a book, literally as we speak. I expect to have it done in January and available. It's called, guess what? Winning the Six-Figure Sale, a Sales Leader's Guide to inspect, assess, and coach your team's must-win sales campaigns. So if you want to be notified when the book is published, just go to salesleadersonly.com/new book. And there you have it, everyone. I want to take a moment and thank you all for joining me here today. And I hope to see you all at the top of the sales leaderboard. And as we climb back up the mountain here, that's one of the things that we can do in these days of COVID, is be able to get outside and reach the top of the sales leaderboard. Thanks very much. Really appreciated everybody's time.